Hello everyone, welcome back to the 4OURPLAY podcast. It's Bella.
This is Jace.
Today's episode is going to be a Q&A episode, and before we go into that, I gotta show you what shirt I have, or I guess describe what shirt I have if you're not watching us, which we are now on YouTube. We have, well, our podcast is now on YouTube, I should say. We've been on YouTube doing vlogs and stuff, but now our podcast is also on YouTube, so if you want to listen along while also watching us talk, you can do so. And you can
see the shirt.
Yes, you can see the shirt with your eyes instead of your ears. But we will have that linked below in the description if you guys want to visit us on YouTube. But today, oh my God, I am obsessed with this shirt. And by the way, you can get these shirts on 4ouRPLAY.com/shop. We design them and make them. And so I really do love this one. This is a kinky Pokemon shirt, which I know sounds so funny when you're actually listening to that, but when you see it, it's adorable.
And you drew it.
I did. I drew it. I made it. I even sewed this one because this one, it's a bandeau top, but it has the 3 starters, the original starters. It has Bulbasaur and Squirtle and Charmander, but they're all kinky.
And
not
they're like wearing like kink attire.
Bulbasaur has a harness on his face and has a choker, a spiky choker, and then Charmander has a little spiky choker, and then Squirtle has sunglasses on. It's Squirtle Squad Squirtle, and has a choker and holding a paddle. Like, how freaking adorable is this? So I'm obsessed with it.
My shirt that I'm wearing today, I'm also wearing a fun shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts that we ever made. It's a USA swinging team shirt, and it's the pineapple rings. I mean, it's the rings from the pineapple. It's the rings from the Olympics, but they're upside down pineapples, and it says USA swinging team. And we wore this on Temptation Cruise in 2 years ago, 2022, whenever it was the Olympics, were end February, and it's one of my favorite shirts that we've ever made. And
we've also had some funny stories with that one.
Yeah, Bella someone asked her if she was on the swimming team one time.
The Olympic swimming team. It's like, I literally don't look athletic at all.
I think you look
athletic. I take that as a compliment, though. Yeah. Well, that they thought I was on the Olympics.
Just glide through water like a fish.
I can't even wade water. What is it?
Tread.
Wade. Isn't that if you're wading in the water?
I think when you wade is like whenever you like go up to like your knees and you go out, like it's wading into the water is like going up to like your knees or something like that.
Tread water. I can't do that. And I'm so short. Most of the time in the pools, I look like, you know those memes and those pictures of seals when they're in the, is it a seal?
I've seen like a capybara, I've seen a manatee, and I've seen a seal, all when they like stand with their head above the water like, huh?
That's me. But anyways, so today's episode is a Q&A episode. I got to get out my handy dandy iPad. Question 1 is, hey, just wondering how to handle a situation if it doesn't go to plan. My husband and I were with a couple, and because of a comment made during play by the other husband, we got really uncomfortable but didn't know the best way to excuse ourselves, and as a result, we finished the playtime and weren't too pleased with ourselves afterwards. How do you know how to handle uncomfortable situations in the moment? That's a tough one.
That's a very tough question. Yeah. I think the first starting place is just saying that I think we've all, well, maybe we haven't all been there. If you're newer into this, maybe you haven't had one of those awkward or uncomfortable experiences, but the longer you've been in the lifestyle, it's bound to happen. So just know that you're probably never going to escape without having some sort of awkward encounter. But I do think having the right mentality and knowing, having even a game plan of how you would handle an uncomfortable situation can make it so much better. So we've definitely had them. We've had uncomfortable situations, and we have chosen to excuse ourselves.
We've also had times where we kept going with it.
Yeah.
And we've been in that spot too, where
hard.
We don't know what to do. Because you're thinking about it and you don't want to make the other couple feel awkward, even though they made you feel uncomfortable, but you don't want to stop everything. Or maybe, I know that I've talked to other couples before where one person is having a great time and they don't even realize that the other person had something happen, and so then the one person in the couple, all 3 people don't know anything that's going on, and then the one person feels uncomfortable, but then they feel like they need to keep going. And I feel like that's probably, unfortunately, I do feel like that's probably what happens most often.
Yeah.
But shouldn't be
Exactly.
happening.
I was like, I don't think that's what's for the best.
Yeah.
I think that and I think there's lots of different ways to handle this. I think it depends on who you are as like a as a person, or as a couple, because I think there's lots of ways you can go about this. I think the first thing we have to think about is like, how bad of a situation is it? Every uncomfortable situation is negative, but there's things that could happen that would be worse than other situations, right? It's all relative, but some things I feel like let's say that you have a boundary. Hey, we're only going to soft swap tonight. And then out of nowhere, somebody sticks it in you. That's, to me, probably going to be it would be easier, like, what the is going on? Stop, like, what the compared to maybe somebody makes a comment that makes you feel uncomfortable, right? I'm not saying like one is worse, but I think that if someone doesn't like out of like nowhere that completely broke a boundary, it's probably much easier to, like, even if you're in a group, to be like, oh my God, what's happening? Wait, why did you just do this? Compared if somebody makes a comment to you, you might keep it to yourself and internalize that comment. Mm-hmm. So I think that we have to kind of go at this question in like different scenarios. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I mean, I think that we can do a baseline thing,
okay,
though.
Yeah.
I feel like it's regardless of, in quotations, how bad it is. I think if you feel like something is wrong, then I think it should be spoken up about. And no experience, I don't think, at least, and this is coming from experience, like that example that Jace gave where it was supposed to be soft swap and then somebody, like, that actually happened to us. And we didn't handle that situation correctly. Like, my first immediate thing was I thought about the other girl. Like, I didn't even think about me, and I thought about, like, oh my God, like, is she okay? When I feel like really it should have been like, what the are you doing? Like, stop. Like, it happened like so quick that I think that's also another thing too, because like you don't know what to do like in the moment. And so had it been like that, I don't know, that's like, if you guys want to listen to that one, we can also link that one below, but that was one of probably our worst experiences ever. And even that, like, we didn't handle how I would have handled it now.
I agree.
So I think that if you're feeling uncomfortable, go ahead and speak up about it, because no experience should be worth it, more than you feeling good about what's happening.
I agree.
Like, don't force yourself to keep going with something if you don't think it feels right.
Yes.
And I don't think that it's a bad thing to just be like, hey, can we all take a second to stop? Like, I don't feel like continuing on with this. And I think that it's hard, even me thinking about it right now, like, I can see that would be a difficult thing to do. But I would like to be like that. Like, I would like to be the kind of person that, like, this is how it's going to be, and just stop it at that moment.
We did have experience that was kind of like that. There was this couple that we were into, and this was kind of more towards the beginning of our lifestyle experience, and it was, the girl was into you, and we were like, oh, you could have a girl-girl experience, and the guys will watch. We all said, hey, that sounds good. We discussed this before we went to the room, like, hey, the girls will do stuff, the guys will watch. We went back there, and the girl started, and everything was going well, and then the girl was like, hey, will you, like, to Bella, right? Will you touch my man? Oh, will you suck my man? You do all of this? And, like, they started to try to convert it into a threesome with me watching, which is just very, like, it's a very sleazy thing to do. Like, that's not what the lifestyle's about. It's about being open and honest. But regardless, that's what started to happen. And in that situation, we're like, hey, we're going to leave. Like, this is not what we talked about. You guys are breaking these rules, and this is not what we were saying. So we are going to leave. So we have handled stuff well, but we probably could have handled it even better, right? But you can always handle it even better.
Even in that situation, that was more you doing that than me. Like, I remember in that experience, I remember I asked you. And even though I knew that I was like, this isn't what we were supposed to be doing, but I was like going over and I was like, when you're in like a small space, right? Like, I was able to like turn over and like whisper this to him. And then at that point, Jace was like, no, we're done.
Yeah.
And so even like sometimes as a couple, even when like one person just goes up and like stops it, like that's okay too.
I agree.
But I wish, like knowing back, like I wish I would have also done that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wish that we would have just done that together rather than it having to be on you.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
It's
this
hard.
is just like this is just an open conversation.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like, so, like we're not like professionals or anything like this. We're just giving
Yeah.
our like 2 cents on like how maybe we have handled something or how we would want to handle something, and
Yeah.
hopefully
and
you guys can take it and have a conversation with your own partners.
Yeah,
But
and I think part of it goes, like I said, and I agree with Bella where it's baselines, but some things are going to be different, right? So some situations, you're definitely going to want to leave. But also there could be comments that were made that maybe make you feel uncomfortable, but maybe you're like, hey, if I were to confront this person and I were to tell them, hey, that this thing that you said, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Can you not say that anymore? Like I still want to, like I want to take like a breather for a second. I would love to come back to this, but like the thing that you're saying is making me feel uncomfortable. I'm going to give another example of a situation that I think that I could have handled better, right? And this is one of those things where I'm talking about some situations you're just going to want to leave, right? There's other situations where maybe something happens that makes you feel uncomfortable, but you might be like, hey, if we don't continue on with that thing, then I'm still having a fun time. This was just a blip in a moment, but let's keep moving on. It's okay, just please don't do that again. For example, me and Bella are into choking, and we are extremely vocal about, hey, are you into choking? Hey, do you like this? Hey, if there's anything, you let me know, like whatever it is, right? To
like
make
when
sure
we're with other people.
Yes, when we're with other people, to make sure that everyone is comfortable. And it always goes smoothly because we know those things. One day, I had a girl choke me, which is fine. I've had other girls who would ask me, right? Like I can be a switch, like it can be fun at times, but this girl just choked me out of nowhere. And I did like move her hand from my neck, but I wasn't like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable being choked. Will you stop doing that to me, right? And I said, this wasn't something that like made me feel super uncomfortable. Like I was okay. Like it was okay. Like I just would prefer that if you were going to do that, I would like to be told first. And so that's the kind of situation to me that like you can handle it differently, right? But in an ideal world, I would have been like, hey, I'm not into being choked right now, or like you need to let me know before you do that, okay? Something like that. And so I think there's different levels of this. And that's like what I'm trying to get at, why this is such like a multifaceted question, is because it could be something that is just very much, oh my God, what the f, we need to get out of the situation now. And those situations are very easy, or much easier anyway, to be like, stop, right? Compared to this. But I think that every situation, it's just as important to be able to vocalize how you're feeling.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that, where it's just like a baseline of being able to vocalize that this XYZ thing wasn't okay. Please stop that.
Yeah, and
that boundary.
And I think that it's what Bella said. It's totally okay to be like, hey, can we stop for a second? I don't think it's bad if you want to be like, hey, I need to talk to my partner for a second. In the lifestyle, for us anyway, which I think is how it should be for most couples, if any couple is ever like, hey, we need to take a break for a second, hey, we need to do this, hey, we need to have a discussion, like whatever it is, I am totally on board. If someone wants to stop so they can do something, and if someone were to tell me like, hey, I just don't feel, even if they're like, nothing happened, I just don't feel uncomfortable, I just don't feel comfortable anymore for whatever reason, it's totally okay. So if you are the couple that's like, hey, something uncomfortable happened, you're like, hey, I need to take a second to talk to my partner, and you want to discuss it with them before you either remove yourself, so you want to have that conversation together, like Bella said earlier, I wish you would have said it together, right? It's okay to talk to your partner, and if that couple makes you feel uncomfortable with it, then it's definitely best that you left that situation, because no one should ever make you feel uncomfortable like that. And sometimes it happens on accident. Like, I don't think that girl was maliciously choking me. I thought that she was into it and she thought it was fun, and that's okay. I said I would have been okay with it if we would have talked about it. So like, it's not like lots of these mistakes happen maliciously. Like some people, yes, you're gonna every once in a while, I guess, run into a person that's a bad apple that's going to do something they shouldn't. But that's people. But I think as people, we have this like human nature in us that like, even when we have something negative happen to us, we don't want to make somebody else feel bad, which you briefly mentioned earlier. But we can't have that happen in these sexual situations like this. This is to me like a fundamental thing of like, we need to try to take care of ourselves. And yes, we're going to make mistakes. Yes, we're not always going to, but I would much rather voice myself and it be uncomfortable, be awkward, and even lose a friendship and make sure that me and you are okay, then go on with something that can make us feel comfortable that later we're going to regret, and we're going to look back and we're going to feel negatively towards maybe the lifestyle when we shouldn't have, right? And so I think the most important thing is to have this conversation with your partner and have some sort of game plan where if something does feel uncomfortable, be like, if every one of us feels uncomfortable, then we're going to say, hey guys, we need to take a pause for a second and talk to each other. Or make your game plan. Or if you're like, hey, well, if you ever feel uncomfortable, you just say it out loud. Whatever you guys need to do as a couple, make that game plan of how you would ideally handle a situation, just because you know it's going to arise at some point, something uncomfortable could happen. And knowing how you're, at least in theory, going to handle it is, to me, what would make it better. And just be brave and know that it's worth saving your own mental health over doing something you're going to regret later.
I think a safe word is good too. I think if you and your partner both know either a safe word or a safe
phrase.
Well, or like a action, like if you do something and then maybe that's something like, hey, we need to get back together to have a conversation, whether that be like taking a breather, going to the bathroom or something, or even just if you guys are swapped, like switching back and just being able to connect back with your partner. I do know that it's easier said than done, right? Because like this is something to talk about, but I don't know if devil's advocate is the right word here, but I want to explain that it's in the moment. I know that it's so much more complicated than being able to be like, this is my boundary, I'm gonna say this. Like, while I do think that that's probably the best way to do it, it takes a lot of I don't know if bravery is the word, but it takes a lot of effort to be able to stand up for yourself and say it in that way. And it's not in a situation like that. Because even in not real life, but even in normal life, right? It's hard to set those boundaries. And so I can only imagine how difficult it's going to be, especially if this is your first experience or something, or like first few experiences where you don't know how to go about it because you don't want... I think so many people, myself included, are people pleasers, and we want to make everyone feel comfortable even if you don't feel comfortable. And I just want to stress how important it is to try to work past that, especially in situations like this. But I do know how complicated it can be because, like there's other people going on. And honestly, if you do bring something up like that, there is a high chance that that experience is probably either going to end or it might continue, but it might be weird. And then like, I can see how you'll be thinking about it. It's like, is it even worth bringing up just because I think I might feel uncomfortable? But just know that it's okay to do that. It's okay to bring it up even if you don't feel comfortable. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like
I do. I agree. It's so much easier said than done, and everything, even if you have a game plans can absolutely crumble whenever you get into an actual uncomfortable situation. So that goes into a vanilla life, anything. You have game plans, and if it doesn't go how you expect, it's difficult to pivot or to be able to actually implement the things that you've talked about. And I wasn't even thinking about this until you mentioned that, but it's like, imagine how hard the situation would be. Like, let's say, right, I've been thinking about a foursome, right? Imagine you're in an orgy with 8 people, and now you're uncomfortable, and if you say something, are you going to break up these 6 other people?
Yeah.
And like, so it can get so much bigger, which would make that situation even more complicated, right? And like, I guess in that situation, probably what I would do is I would talk to you. I'd say, hey, we're going to go ahead and leave so the other 6 people could be doing their own thing. And then I would probably bring it to that person's attention who made me uncomfortable the next day. Probably.
Because even it's so in our head, we think like, hey, this is what you're going to do. Yeah, life is difficult and navigating these situations are difficult. But just know that it's normal to feel these things.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the times after having a situation like that, you do, as long as you and your partner talk about everything and voice everything, and even if it has already happened and you're moving past it, just trying to put in place either different rules or different boundaries so you can prevent it from happening again in the future, like, it's probably, like, in our experience for our own relationship has been what we've done,
Yeah.
you know, like even more so like, and sometimes you even think about things that you weren't comfortable with after the fact.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I think it just opens up the conversations with you and your partner even more in that way. But I don't even know if we answered the question.
I think we did. I think that you have to make a game plan of what you would like to do in the situation. Know it could go awry, even if you have the plan. And then what you said to how to handle it afterwards, right? Of having that discussion so you can move forward. There's one other thing that I want to say about afterwards. We've never done this, but I can see this happening in a situation, and I like to bring up any talking point that anyone could talk about, right? So let's say something happened. Your partner got uncomfortable, and then you want to leave. And let's say that I can see someone being like, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I could see it happening where one partner's like, why would that make you feel uncomfortable? Like that wasn't one of our rules. That like we said this was our rules. Like you shouldn't have felt uncomfortable. That is the worst thing that you could do.
Yes.
If you are a partner, be supportive of your partner. If your partner felt something and then they changed their mind halfway through and that's why they felt uncomfortable, it is okay for them to change their mind. Do not belittle their thought or belittle their circumstance because you don't understand it. I can see that happening to somebody at some point and being like, well, I was having so much fun with her. I thought you guys were having fun. This was our boundary. Like, why would you make it quit? Because like those things can just happen, right? Like in those conversations, those conversations happen with people. And I think the most important thing is to remember that because something doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it doesn't make your partner feel uncomfortable. And because you had a rule in place and they didn't break a rule, but they changed their mind, it's okay. So don't ever make your partner feel bad about that, because that's how you can't move past a situation. If you talk about it together and this made you uncomfortable, you can work through it together. But if something bad happens and you're not going to be supportive of your partner, I don't know how you're ever going to get past that situation and it will heal. So I think that could just be something that hopefully could help someone. So make sure to always be the most mindful of your partner, because these situations can happen. And the most important thing is that if it happens to your partner, for you to take care of your partner. You guys are each other's team. So you have to remember, let's take care of each other. Try to remember to take care of each other before even protecting other people's feelings when you are the ones who have been hurt.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. But I mean, at the same, like, it almost sounds like you're not caring about the other people at all, though.
I mean,
but
if they did something to hurt you, you do have to protect. That's life, right? Like you do have to protect yourself to an extent. If someone you and you don't want to be checked, I can't be afraid to make them feel uncomfortable when they are the ones who have done something that broke a boundary that made me feel uncomfortable. And I'm not saying be like you guys, but I'm saying to be like, hey, I'm sorry that made me feel very uncomfortable. Because of that situation, I need to remove myself. I'm not saying being rude. I'm not saying not look out for people. But I'm saying when it comes down to it, at the very end of the day, I do think that you have to do what's best for you and your partner. So don't put yourself through an uncomfortable situation to save them. I'm saying be kind to them. It's like whenever you reject somebody, right? Like you're still rejecting them, but you're doing it in a kind way, but you still have to do what is best for you. That's why I'm saying by that. It's not like I don't care about other people. It's a very much coming from the mindset of let's keep everyone as happy as we can, but we have to protect ourselves when we are the ones who are being hurt in a situation.
And the same thing goes like the opposite way, to not going off what you said, but if something could happen that maybe you accidentally made somebody feel uncomfortable and you weren't trying to make somebody feel uncomfortable. And so with that, I would say it's the same kind of thing, right? It's just to, if they voice it with you, or if you can even tell, sometimes you can just tell if something feels off. Don't be afraid to ask, are you okay? There's been a few comments that I've seen on like our TikToks or Instagram and YouTube sometimes, where people are like, oh, I hate when people are asking like so many times, are you okay? In an experience, and it throws everything off. And I don't understand that.
Me either.
Like I feel like it's so important to make sure if everyone's okay. And I think obviously if it's like every 5 minutes, then it's probably overkill. But I think like
a midway check-in, like everyone's having fun, everyone good. Like it's very light, playful. I agree.
I think that maybe that could be something that maybe helps prevent bad things from happening.
Great advice.
Because I feel like we started doing that more, and we haven't had a bad experience. I don't remember like the last time we had a bad experience.
We also check in with each other very
Yeah,
often.
we'll do,
We do
like,
a
the
little
hand
hand to like, it's
signals.
okay, you good, smile, thumbs up, make sure we're making eye contact. So when we're not together, we know that the other person is still doing okay. And we do that all the time. We'll mouth I love you. Like we do things like that, which that's really great advice for making sure you and your partner are okay. Because if I looked over and I was doing a thumbs up and you were kind of like, and you looked uncomfortable, then I'd tell that other person, I'd be like, hey, do you think we could swap back? And like, you can get yourself. So I think that's really, really good advice. Because I think that could prevent things if someone's starting to feel a little uncomfortable from, I mean, it's preventive things, right? That's what all of this is.
So I think that wraps that question up. I would feel, hopefully we're able to help some with that one, but we'll go ahead and move on to the second question now.
Question number 2,
This podcast is brought to you by us, Bella and Jace. If you're going on a vacation, or maybe you have a gift that you want to give your other lifestyle friends and you're looking for lifestyle clothing, we have the best apparel on the market for you. We have not only clothing, bikinis, swimsuits, we have backpacks, tumblers, cups, anything that you can name, we probably have it. You can find that at 4OURPLAY.com/shop.
Let's say you're at a party, you're going on vacation, things are moving a little bit slow. Maybe you want some conversation to flow. Maybe you want to move stuff towards play. Well, we have the perfect game for you. It's called 4Play the Game. It is a digital and physical lifestyle icebreaker game, and you can find out all about it at 4play.com/games. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com/games.
If you don't have a lifestyle vacation planned, a resort or a cruise planned, why not? You can join us. You can find that at 4play.com/playcation. We have not only information about the events and trips that we'll be on this year, but also other options for you as well. And it doesn't cost any extra for you to book through our links, but helps us a lot, helps us continue to be able to make this type of content for you. Now back to the show.
Question 2 is, hey there, we're big fans of your podcast, and as fellow listeners, we've been thinking about recording our post-experience discussions for personal memories, kind of like how you share your sexy stories. We don't want to start our own podcast, just something for ourselves. Wondering if you enjoy recording for the memory or if you have encountered any downsides, and have you stumbled upon any unexpected upsides to recording that you wouldn't have anticipated? Thanks for sharing your insights, M and H.
That's a fun question. I feel like that's something that's very not related to anything that we've ever really, it's a more specific one, because I don't know how many people want to record themselves, but why don't you start? I think I started the last question, so why don't you start wherever you want to with this, and I'll chime in.
I think it's a great thing to do. It's almost like a audio diary in a way, and I think not having the pressures of posting it on the internet, of course, is going to definitely be an upside, because it's just something for you and your partner to enjoy and listen to sometimes. I can see there's a lot of upsides to it, because you can listen to it back, like it's sexy. And I also think that it can open up a lot of conversations too, because this is what Jason and I, before we started recording podcasts, this is what we did. I mean, we didn't record it though. That would be one thing. I think not everybody, but I think a lot of couples probably talk about their experiences afterwards. Just know that if you are going to do that, you're probably going to end up talking deeper into different things. Like, it opens up conversations for, oh, like, did you like this? Like, what did you like about that? Or like, oh, like, you didn't like this, like, what happened there? And what do you think about this? And then it's not all sexy.
Yeah.
So it's not like the whole time whenever you listen back to it, it's going to be like a, unless you do it like that. I would say that if you do want it to be like strictly just sexy and not like listening back to a therapy session or something, I think like maybe put that boundary in place, like put into forward, like just be like, okay, anything that we have to talk about like specifically, like let's save that until after we just retell about the experience.
Or you could also have your discussion of everything first, talk about the experience first, and then re-record just the sexy bit. So if you wanted to like be able to have that discussion first, so this is why I'm going to say that, and why I think that would be a better way to go about it, by having a discussion first and then re-recording the sexy bit. So there was at one point in our podcast story making time anyway, that we wouldn't talk about an experience until we recorded it, because we're like, oh, we want it to be more of this authentic. We want people to like get the exact experience that we were experiencing. Like we want us to hear the real conversation that we're having, right? And it's obviously not any conversation's a fake conversation, but like we want them to, like, if I learned something that happened, I want it to be recorded when it happens. And we would be at a resort. And then we wouldn't end up talking about this experience. They'd be like, oh, we can't film a podcast this week because we're busy, so we'll film it. So it'd be 2 weeks after, and then we talk about it. And to me, that took away so much of what one of my favorite things about a lifestyle is. Being able to discuss those things right afterwards, to me, is one of the best things. And so now we don't do that. Now, whenever we have an experience, we talk about the experience. Usually either that night, or if we're tired, we talk about it the next morning. And then we'll talk about it again whenever we film the podcast. And to me, that's made it so much better because I love the connection that we get through it. That's what's so sexy. That's part of the reclaiming, is hearing the story and talking about it and doing it right when it's fresh, because the truth is, one of the good things about recording them is you don't remember everything that happened. You forget bits of it. When you are having a and you 3 people and it lasts an hour, like, you don't remember everything a week later, because human nature, we have a trillion other things in our mind. Like, you remember maybe some of the highlights, but you don't remember every little detail of it. But usually the next morning, you even remember more of those things. So that's why I think I would recommend to, if you want it to be strictly sexy, then I would have your discussion, just enjoy it like you always have, and then re-record the sexy bits. But if you don't mind it being a longer, drawn-out thing where you want to hear how your thoughts, which is, I think, would be pretty fun, then I would record it and just not have some sort of boundary, and just talk about whatever, and however the discussion goes, it goes. But that's like the only thing that I ever even saw it as a negative, is the fact of whenever we would wait to record it, I feel like it took something away from us in a sense.
But I think that's more only relatable because we were creating like content. Because I think that as a couple who isn't planning on posting this already, like, they would be there. I don't know if they would be waiting to record it. So
No.
I don't know if that's going to relate to
I'm saying I don't know if it would really help that much, but one thing I can see is, like, if you're like, oh, don't talk about the other things, just talk about the sexy parts of it. I can see that you're talking about the sexy parts and you think of something that would trigger in your mind, like, I want to have a discussion about this that's deeper. But then you talk about something else, and then you had 3 things, and then you forgot one of them, and now you don't have that in-depth discussion that probably could have benefited your relationship even more than having a recording of something. So that's just why I think, like, that part is not really relative to anybody else. But knowing that mindset can happen, and it could deter that, that's why I think doing your discussion first, if you want to keep it strictly sexual for the recording, like make it a part of audio, then I would have the discussion first, because I just don't want to limit the conversations that we can have. But overall, I think it's been a wonderful thing. Like I said, it's fun to listen back to, especially like every once in a while, just like to randomly listen back to a story, right? And then you'll be like, oh my God, like, I forgot that part happened. Like, not that you forgot, but like you've thought about so many other things. You're like, oh my gosh, that clicked back. Like, I remember that. Like, and it's, you know what I'm saying? And so that's fun. And it's fun to be able to listen back to it. Like, it feels sexy because it's your stories, right? It's like you were there. It's not watching like it's yours. Like, you were the people there. And I also love the fact of, like, whenever you're discussing it, which, I mean, this could just be a discussion as well, but it's that thing of, you know, you're gonna, like, you're setting aside the time to spend this time together to talk about these things and develop your relationship even more. And like I said, you hear the things like, oh, I didn't know you did that. Like, I wasn't looking over when you did that one thing. And that to me is another part of the fun of it, but being able to have it on record, I don't know. I just think there's something really fun and special about it. And I don't really feel like there's very many downsides that I can think of if you weren't recording it to put up. Now, if you were recording it because you wanted to make a lifestyle podcast, there's definitely things that I think that you could do that could make it worse.
We started off like retelling, like trying to think back about like other different experiences. And that's like something actually to think about too. Like if you haven't started, if you want to start recording about your experiences, you don't have to do it like right now. Like,
you might currently.
Well, yeah, currently.
You can record
like,
old.
Yeah, like even like having that might be really sexy. Might be something fun to have. An upside that I didn't really expect, but I mean, it does make sense, is when you're listening back to it and having these different, like the cadences of like how you're talking, and then like how things, you'll think back on things and you can hear each other's emotions like in the voice, even over watching it. Does that make sense? It's hearing how your voices are going. Sometimes you'll kind of start whispering, or sometimes like you'll get really excited about something. There's something like really cool about that, and I feel like it really takes you back into that moment when everything is so detailed and you can really hear and listen. Like I feel like I'm playing it back in my head, and I remember these moments that I would have maybe not really thought about, and so to be able to have it is pretty cool. I will say like a negative side could be if you're not used to talking with something being recorded, just the idea of knowing that you're being recorded could, at least at the beginning, maybe change how you're saying something. I think that could be maybe a negative. It might be a little either, I don't know if awkward, it could be awkward, but then it could be like, oh my gosh, I'm recording this and I forgot to say this part, or you know, like, and then listening back and being like, oh, I wish I would have done it this other way or something. So don't go into your head about that. I would say try to make it as organic as possible. If you do want to start doing it and you listen back and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we ever should do this again, but you actually are enjoying it, give it a few more and keep going. Don't be so hard on yourselves. And just know that you will get better, and it will, I think it's more positive than negative, is what we're saying.
The only thing that I can also say is like, if you were to if you were to try, and like, it's all supposed to be fun, right? So if you're like doing it and you're like, oh, well, I really want to record this, and your partner really doesn't, you're going back and forth like, okay, I guess we're going to take a time. Like, if it's not fun, then there's no point of doing it. I know that kind of goes without being said, but
not really though. Like, you don't really think about, because like what I would think is like, well, like I should just do it, like because like it's going to be better for us to be able to have this memory to listen to. Like I'm just going to do it even though I don't feel like it. But don't do that.
Don't push yourself. It's almost like being on a vacation, right? It's nice to take pictures, but if the whole time you're taking pictures and you're not being there in that moment, then you're not getting the whole experience. Because the whole point is, I'd much rather have a discussion with no recording that actually impacts my relationship than doing it because I think it's going to help me, but I'm not having as much fun. So if you're all going to do it and like maybe you're not having fun, then try to make it more fun and try to enjoy it, and just like make it this fun little thing that you're doing together. And maybe you're not like, oh, we have to do it the next day. Like, oh, if you want to discuss it the next day and it takes you 2 weeks to record it, do it then. Like, just make it fun, because you don't want to like put pressure on, because you're like, oh, it'd be nice to have, but what's the point of having something if you don't enjoy getting it?
Or if maybe, like, I'm just thinking about this now, but if you do really start to enjoy it, or you want to try to make it like a special thing, like maybe you get things set up to get into the mood to do that. And it would actually be pretty hot if we couldn't do this because we posted, but if you were doing it and you had lighting and candles and like dressed in something sexy or in nothing, and then you're listening, and you're talking about it, and then you get hot and bothered because this happens, and then you start having sex and you start and you have that like the breathy, like breathing and like the gasping and like those kinds of things auditorily, like it's really sexy to me. So I can see, as you're talking about your experience, if it leads into something, you have that recording too, and it's not like on video, you know what I mean? Because whenever you put video into it, it gets kind of, I know that's like some people's things, but sometimes that takes a lot of like it puts a lot of pressure on. But when it's just like the auditory part, like I could see that being really fun.
I think that's a very good point, because I remember whenever we were only doing audio, right? Before we even started this video, like, yes, you can see it here now, like we have these lights and it looks fun, but like we would do lights like this when we were recording the audio. We would close our blinds, we would make our room dark, and we would get under the covers, and even when we were just recording audio, we would have lights. And that made it feel sexy to us. That made it feel more fun to us. And I think that that's all what it's about, right? It's about that connection with your partner, being able to share that. And so I think what you said, I think that's a really, really great point.
I'm not saying that that's what you need to do or should do too, because I know a lot of whenever we're talking about our experiences and like really connecting is usually whenever we're just laying down together, like in the dark, like before we're gonna go to sleep. And so that could be like just maybe putting your phone on audio recording like right in between you or something.
I was literally
you were about to say that?
Well, I wasn't gonna say exactly the same thing, but I was gonna say, like, if you are considering doing it, don't go buy a bunch of nice things.
No.
Literally record with your iPhone and
or
edit,
whatever phone you have.
Yeah, whatever phone you have, and edit it on your phone or edit it in some free software.
But I don't know if they're gonna edit.
Or
like
maybe,
I would
maybe
say,
you wouldn't
like
edit
if
it. I wouldn't. I would probably edit something just because I am an editor. In general, like if I made a YouTube video for myself, I'm gonna edit it the same way I was gonna edit it if I was gonna post it, because my listening back experience would be better for me if it was edited. But I enjoy editing. So I'm just saying that, like, don't go out and spend money on stuff to record it for yourself. Record a couple, with whatever you have laying around the house. Is it a phone or a whatever it may be?
That's sufficient.
And then if you like it, then go ahead. You can buy a great mic. I mean, if you've seen this video right now, we still have really looking mics. Like, they do the job well, but it's not like some great mic. So I mean, you don't need it to be like the best mic to have a great experience. But if that made it feel more fun and more sexy to you, then do that. Like, just make it whatever's fun to you and whatever feels good to you. But I definitely would vote overall very, very positive with very few downsides. And the downsides are completely avoidable if you're literally just making sure that you prioritize the happiness in it. Well, that is the 2 questions for today. So I guess we'll wrap that part of the podcast up and go to Bella and Jace's
Weekly Obsessions.
So I have 2. Well, I guess it's 3 technically. The first one is, I literally just forgot because I was thinking of the other 2. Damn. Okay, my first one is the song J Christ by Lil Nas X. I just really like Lil Nas X music. I think that it's so just like upbeat and fun, and it makes me want to dance, and that song does that, just like pretty much all of his other songs do. I love his outfits. I love how polarizing he is and like how much he gets people angry. I think it's funny. And so I've been obsessed with that song, I guess. And then I have 2 movies. One I'm going to mention because I watched it a few weeks ago and I still love the movie. And then another movie we watched last week. So Anyone But You is a romantic comedy with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. I love Sydney Sweeney.
You're so basic for that.
But I've loved her before it was basic,
It's
okay?
true, yeah.
I've been a
like,
slut
what
for
guy
her for
does
a
it?
long
You
time.
have been a slut for Sydney Sweeney
For a long time.
I mean, it was whenever everyone else did because of Euphoria.
No, but I went back and I watched all of her old movies. Like, I've seen her like entire catalog of like her shit stuff too.
That's true. You are a true Sydney Sweeney fan.
Yeah, not just like because of her boobs. Like, I just really like her. I think she's funny. I think she's pretty. I think she's incredibly good at acting.
Good. Yeah, she is.
So
didn't she like win an Emmy? Or
she got nominated for a lot of Emmys. She should have won.
Yeah, she's
an Emmy.
very talented.
Yeah, and I think that she's like so. I don't know. She's so impressive to me as a person. Anyway,
it's just funny because you sound like every other guy who's obsessed with Sydney Sweeney. That's all. It's just funny. I understand it. I understand it. I just like giving you a hard time.
No, it's fair. That's honestly,
I made him a Sydney Sweeney rap tee, and that's cool. That's really cool shirt.
I'll wear it one day for one of these episodes. But Anyone But You is just a really cute romantic comedy, and I'm really happy because that movie, I guess, did really well in the box office for romantic comedies, and that means she'll keep making movies because that's great. So I loved that, and then I loved Argyle. So I saw Argyle's like a spy movie, and once again, I love Dua Lipa. So I saw a still from this movie. I said it must have been at least 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, Dua Lipa's going to be in a movie. And so we went to the movies, and I wore my Dua Lipa rap tee, which you also made me. And the movie was incredibly good. I'm not like a huge action person, but I like action comedy, like mixture movies. And that to me was like just a perfect example of that action comedy mixture that I love so much. And so I loved Argyle. I think the cast was great. I thought it was funny and actiony. Dua Lipa was great. She was good.
Tell the podcast about our Dua Lipa experience.
Oh,
well, okay, that sounded
I wish.
not like that.
So it was a Sunday night. Just kidding.
Story time coming up.
So, can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Me either. I can try. But anyway, so Dua Lipa did this thing. This was like 2 months ago, and she had her song Houdini came out, and then I'm in this like text thing, like you get notifications.
It's like a fan club.
Yeah, because I'm a fan. And anyway, it was like, hey, record your videos so that I can use them in a fan video. So we recorded a video. This was like the middle of December, and we sent it in.
No, I think it was Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving. You're right. It was Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
not December. Sorry, I was thinking the wrong holiday. It was Thanksgiving, and we recorded it, and we didn't think much of it. It was just us lip syncing to the song, and then we got a text message. This was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe. And it was like, hey, the music video,
It's a lyric video. It's a fan lyric video.
Yeah.
You keep saying music video.
It is technically a music video. It's a lyric.
That makes it sound so much cooler than it actually is.
It's so cool regardless.
It's cool, but okay.
Okay, so it's a fan lyric video is technically what it is, which is a Dua Lipa music video, technically as well.
Okay, you can keep telling
And
yourself that.
I'm going to. And anyway, we got the text message and we're like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so cool if we were just like in the music video? Like even if we were just in it or in the lyric video, if we were in it, it'd be so cool. And then right before we were about to open YouTube up on the TV to watch it, because we wanted to watch it on the big screen, the lyric video, I was like, wouldn't it be so crazy if we were in the thumbnail? We are in the thumbnail of the lyric video. The fan-made lyric video to Houdini, but like it's a 3 people, and there's like this girl in the middle, and then
it's three
three sections. Yeah, I think a girl in the middle. I want to say a girl on the left as well.
Yep.
And then us on the right in the music video. Like you can go to Dua Lipa's channel right now, and you can just scroll down, and you will literally see a picture of us on her channel, like in the thumbnail. And it's been like 3 weeks now, probably actually, and it's still the thumbnail. So I don't think it's changing.
It's changing.
And
This was amazing.
it was incredible. I mean,
If you
when
guys
I
know
tell
Jace, if you
you-
guys are longtime listeners, you guys know how obsessed he is with Dua Lipa.
and it was
Loves Dua Lipa.
like
So it was like-
Dua Lipa was my favorite musician. Like it's like if you were in an Ariana Grande lyric video thumbnail.
I would die.
Exactly. And like
I'd melt and I would die, and I would.
it was one of the highlights of my life. Like I know that sounds like stupid, but like truly like from like it's the little things that bring joy in life. That brought me so much joy.
It was the funniest part was because you were like, wouldn't it be funny if we were in the thumbnail? Like just completely joking, and then I just click it audibly, like so
It was so
much
crazy.
screaming.
We'll link it down in the
Yeah.
in the video description down below. I mean in the what's the show notes.
Yeah, show
so
notes.
so you guys can listen to it. But we're like if you have to watch the whole music, we're the last like 10 seconds of the video. That's like where our part comes in. So if you want to skip forward and if you wanted to see us lip sync to Houdini for some reason, you can do that. We'll put it down there. But you can at least see the thumbnail because that is cool. All right, here's your weekly obsessions.
My weekly obsessions, Jace has to write them down because we forget them.
Yeah, she always tells me she'll remember them, but I know we're not
know.
going to. So
Well, we talk about so many other things, and then I get obsessed with so many things.
I
that I-
forgot mine when I read
Read
them
them?
and then looked up at the camera to record it, and I forgot what I just read. So like I know I'm
We're
not
like
gonna remember.
Dory, short-term
Oh my-
memory
yeah.
loss. I also have long-term memory loss. Remembery. Okay. My weekly obsessions are, first one is the movie Poor Things. It's with Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo is in it. Willem Dafoe, which I only learned in the last maybe couple years that his name is Willem Dafoe and not William
I always
Dafoe.
thought it was William as well.
Thought it was William Dafoe, but no, it's Willem, Willem, and it is so good. I truly enjoyed it. We love going into movies not knowing anything about movies. About the movie. So we didn't watch a trailer for that or anything. We did see that it was Oscar nominated. So we do try to be caught up on all the Oscar movies for the year. Went in to watch that at the theaters. Oh, another weekly obsession. We have a unlimited movie pass to the movies. We have it for Regal theaters, and so we go 2 to 3 times a week, at least once.
We
to
usually go
twice
twice a week. Yeah.
So we watch so many movies now, and it's like one of the highlights of our week. But
I would highly recommend that too. If you
Yeah.
guys are movie people, like we like to set a time time aside for date nights that are like throughout the week because we get so busy with work. We want to like take time to go spend together. I think that we pay like $18 a month for our one at Regal, and we can go to unlimited movies, which a normal movie ticket is like $13 at a theater now. So if you go twice in a month, you really already paid for it. We go literally like twice a week, and it's so nice that we're like, we have a date night we can always go do, and it's always a little bit different. Like we're going tonight to see a movie, and we look forward to it. Yeah, we go
I don't
every
even know what movie we're watching.
Zone of Interest, which is another Oscar movie that we
Oh,
have,
it is?
Yeah. Which we have
I don't know
not-
anything about
yeah,
it.
See, so I would highly recommend it. If you guys are like looking for date nights, I'm sure any city does it. I think Cinemark has one. I think
AMC.
Yeah, I think all the big theaters have them for probably around that price point. I'm not sure, but it's so nice to have like a little date night thing to constantly do. That's not going to dinner, or it's not like looking for something new to do, but it's something new every time. So that's a tangent, but I would highly recommend that.
Oh, Poor Things is what I was talking about. Such a different role for Emma Stone, which I thought was awesome. It's very Frankenstein-ish. It's basically a different take on a Frankenstein type movie. I know it was pretty polarizing. A lot of people thought that it was defeminizing, and I don't agree with that. I think that the people who do think that might be missing the point of the movie. I don't want to give too much away, but if you are a movie person and you like weird movies, artistic type movies, I would highly recommend it. If you're a casual moviegoer and you're not, if you watched Saltburn and thought that was way too much for you, don't watch Poor Things.
Unless you just want to see Emma Stone
I mean, I
so
guess.
sexual.
It's pretty uncomfortable, though. I
It
mean, if
actually
you're
is
not-
really
yeah.
uncomfortable in
So-
lots of situations.
So truly enjoyed that. That's one of my obsessions. My other weekly obsession is Chili's. Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
Welcome to Chili's. So not Chili's specifically. So we used to go to Chili's every single week, and then we went out of the country for about a year or so and didn't go to Chili's for a long time.
There's not very many Chili's in other countries, by the way.
Just and then came back and recently started going to Chili's again, and I am obsessed with it again. Just something about
It's
Chili's.
so good. It's
but
not...
specifically what I'm obsessed with is not just Chili's in general, the restaurant, but the broccoli at Chili's.
That's a wild obsession when you think about it. Chili's broccoli.
There's
what an
something
obsession.
about that
No,
broccoli.
I agree. It's just so funny to think about.
It is funny.
But it's
the
so good.
best.
Yeah, it
And I
is.
know that makes it like you can judge me all you want, but I've never ever been happier than when I'm eating my
Chili's
broccoli. I swear it's probably completely frozen. I need to know what manufacturer they use. I need to
think
know
just
how
use
they do it.
MSG instead of salt or something. They must do something like that.
It's the texture of it, which also sounds kind of gross if you're thinking about it this way, but you can, like, I eat it and I turn it upside down and I peel it kind of like string cheese.
As a person who does not eat broccoli like that, it is still the best broccoli.
And there's nothing special about it. Somehow it's always green. It probably has a ton of chemicals in it or something. All the GMO.
That's probably why it's good.
Probably. But that's my other obsession.
It's
Chili's.
the genetically modified part that's real good
Yeah.
about it.
Broccoli from Chili's and Poor Things.
Nice. Well, those are pretty fun ones.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I said we really appreciate it. I hope that this information helps you guys navigate your journey somehow. And I had so much fun filming this. I've really been loving this format of sitting here. I love doing it on the camera too. I think it's so fun to have a recording of it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And so thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll go ahead and hit you with the outro.
Bye.
If you'd like to support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to our podcast. All our information will be listed in the show notes below and on our website, 4play.com. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we make videos and vlogs about the swinging lifestyle. Head to 4play.com/YouTube to watch and subscribe. We have the ultimate adult party game for the sexually inclined called 4Play the Game that's both digital and physical. It's perfect for breaking the ice and spicing up any party. You can find more information at 4play.com/games. We also have the best swinger lifestyle, kinky, and adult humor clothing and accessories that you can find at 4play.com/shop. If you're looking to plan a lifestyle destination, booking through our links at 4play.com/travel really helps support the show and helps us be able to continue to create this type of content for you. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and more. You can find all our current social media accounts at 4play.com/socials, and I have an OnlyFans, which you can find at onlyfans.com/BellaLunaVIP. We also have a Facebook group and Discord community and would love for you to join us. You can find the direct links in the show notes below. Lastly, we're on STC and Cassidy at 4Play, and you can get a free full membership trial by using our link. You can email us at hello@4play.com with any questions or comments, or head to 4play.com/ask. Again, all our information will be listed in the show notes below, and we thank you so much for listening to our podcast. See you in the next one. Bye!